Dreams. Some people like them, and some people hate them. But I like them. Today, I'm going to be doing something a bit different, so I don't know how well this would be perceived. Often after I wake up, if I dreamt of something interesting, I'll write it down in a little story format, and that's it. But this time, I decided to draw each scene as well as write it out. So I decided, why not turn it into a video? And here it is. There was a story that my friend Lacey would often tell people. A story that me, her, Ash, and Miles will never forget. Lacey, Ash's friend Miles, and I were walking along the beach, watching the clouds roll by, and filling our lungs with the fresh breath of nature. A train sounded its horn in the distance as we talked about whatever. Lacey stopped and stared at something in the distance. I paused too, and the rest of the group followed suit. "Look at the old building over there," Lacey said as she pointed to a tall stone building. It looked like it had been there for ages. The building resembled a castle, though I had not heard of any castles being around this area. It was rather large. Vines crept along the walls as chunks of the rock aged and crumbled away. "Let's see what's inside," Ash said. Miles agreed with him, though Lacey and I were hesitant. After we walked closer, Lacey had grown curious and decided she would go inside with the boys. Me not wanting to be the odd one out, I also agreed to go with them. We got to the front entrance and pushed open the rotten wooden door. A piercing creak rattled our ears. We stepped inside one by one. A musty scent hung in the air. It was like we stepped into a different time zone, but even though the building looked extremely old on the outside, the inside's clutter and trash wasn't. There were newspapers dating back to only 30 years ago, meaning this place had a relatively recent owner. Lacey closed the door behind us, and light from the few windows lit up the scene. Ash pulled out flashlights from his backpack and gave one to each of us. I shined my light around the room. It was a mess. Glass, papers, and other garbage littered the floor. You couldn't step anywhere without hearing the crunch of glass or paper beneath your feet. An old leather couch sat near the middle of the room, facing a desk. Everything was covered in a thick layer of dirt and grime. The scuttle of cockroaches could be heard as we shined our lights to further examine the layout of the room. On the left side of the room, there was a door leading to another room, and on the right side, there was another wooden door. Lacey led the way to the door on the left side. She pulled it open and we walked inside. This room appeared to be the bedroom, or at least what was left of one. Moth-eaten clothes were scattered around the room. The bed was stained and the pillows were torn. "So cozy," Ash said sarcastically. I shined my light and noticed a closet at the opposite end of the bed. Few clothes remained on the hangers and the rest were in a pile on the floor. "There's not much in here except trash. Should we go and check out the other room?" I asked. "Sure," Lacey replied, "but you're going first this time." We walked out and I led the way to the door on the right side. After a few hard tugs, the door pulled open and we stared into a dark abyss. We shined our lights and saw that it was a staircase leading down into the basement. I led the way and gently stepped on the first step to see if it would hold our weight. It creaked but seemed sturdy, so I continued down the steps. All of us stayed quiet, for we had no idea what would greet us at the end. Each creak in the wood made my heart pound harder. I neared the end of the long staircase and my light lit up the basement. "Guys," I said, "you need to see this." We stared in awe at the insane size of the basement, but it wasn't the size that shocked us the most, but rather the gaping hole in the floor that stretched even further down into the earth. "What in the world?" Miles muttered. Everyone was looking around with their flashlights, exposing more of the room. Junk still littered the floor, but I didn't pay any mind to it. I instead was looking at the hole. The hole seemed intentionally carved out since it was rectangular. It appeared to be as big as the house upstairs. There were no railings lining the hole, so we all had to be cautious. Along the walls of the hole was a carpeted staircase, but each step was odd. Some were steeper than others, or even slanted. I pointed this out to Lacey. "It's almost as if they made it hard for someone to get back up once they climbed down," Lacey stated. Further down the carpeted staircase, there was a hatch that appeared to lead into another room. A black substance surrounded the opening. There were more stairs still leading down after the hatch, but it was too dark for our flashlights to reach. I found the start of the staircase and was considering going down when Ash pointed out something on the floor. It was an old scoreboard, seemingly for a video game or something. The cord was cut and I didn't see any outlets, so even if we wanted to, we couldn't see if it still worked. Our focus turned to the stairs. Miles and Ash headed down first, climbing their way down each step and staying close to the wall in case they slip. I went next and Lacey was right behind me. Our footsteps echoed all around us as we climbed. We all stopped when a low rumble sounded. It seemed to come from the hatch. Our eyes were glued to the hatch when we saw it slowly open a crack, revealing darkness inside. I shined my flashlight on it, though that didn't do much. A dark mass started lifting itself out of the hatch, but I didn't wait around to see what it was. I bolted up the stairs and heard everybody else run as well, but I didn't look behind me. Though it was difficult, I made it to the top, but only to be startled by the old scoreboard, which is now working and lit up. Lacey, Miles, and Ash all paused as they made it behind me. "Look," Lacey said as she pointed to the scoreboard. "Are those pictures of us?" I looked closer and there appeared to be all 4 of us on the board. A thump came from the carpeted stairs, so we continued to run. With me in the lead, we ran back up the stairs to get to the main house. I shined my light ahead and saw the door was closed. More thumps and bumps rattled behind us. But as we got to the top, the door wouldn't budge, no matter how hard we rammed ourselves into it. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for sticking around. It is greatly appreciated. It took a lot longer to draw each scene than I thought it would, but I also had a lot of fun. I might make another video like this, I'm still not sure. But anyway, thank you for watching.